Hey, Brandon from Lanyap here. Today we're going to be talking about the Ubiquiti PowerAmp. This is brand new from Ubiquiti, and I'm going to be using it to replace my Sonos amp in my office. I currently have a Sonos amp that feeds a bunch of speakers within my office, and it actually feeds a vinyl player from my conference room into the various offices. So we're going to be looking at replacing it with the new Ubiquiti PowerAmp, see what the PowerAmp's capable of, see what we can do with it, and see how it plugs in compared to the Sonos amp. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the Ubiquiti Unifi PowerAmp. So this PowerAmp is going to be replacing my Sonos amp, and this is how it was packaged. You can see that it was stuck nicely into this foam enclosure, this super soft foam enclosure. Well, I'd say it's firm foam enclosure. You have this. This is just a QR code for your installation guide, and we can take this out and set this here. And it's got this little pull tab. You pull this up. You're going to find a power cord inside, which is super amazing. And then two banana plugs. So banana plugs, if you don't know, with amplifiers like this is how you're going to end up connecting your speaker wire. So banana plugs are super important for getting line in on things like a vinyl player, for instance. Let's get started with doing the installation. The first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to hook this into my Ubiquiti network using a small little Unifi switch here, which you can see back here. I'm just going to plug straight into my network. I just went and quickly grabbed a Ubiquiti patch cable from my storage. These are kind of great. They are ether lighting patch cables, which means that the tips of them are actually see-through, clear. They're not really meant for this sort of application. They're more meant for, behind me here, I have an ether lighting switch. So the ether lighting patch cables are sort of meant for that. However, I just keep several of these on hand. So let's just open this up real quick. And I did kind of get a long patch cable because I don't know if I might want to, for instance, string this over to the other side of the desk here. So we just got a longer one just in case. So I'm going to plug this in. Now this is not power over Ethernet. So because it's not power over Ethernet, this cable only transmits data. So that's where we're going to be plugging our network in. This is our power cable. So our power cable, we're just going to plug it into an outlet here. And then we're going to plug this into the back of the PowerAmp. Now let's look at the back real quick. You can actually see here on the back, we do have a power connector. We have an HDMI. We have the two locations for the banana clips, so the right speakers and the left speakers. Over here, we have an audio in for right, left, and sub. And then we have a network 1 and 2. These are new from Ubiquiti, so I'm not sure how they work. So I'm not sure why they gave us 2 network ports, but we will figure that out. So real quick, we're going to plug the network cable into port 1. And we plugged our power in. And let's see what happens. You can see on the front, we already have a loading screen, which is a good sign. Ubiquiti systems generally have these loading screens like this. So as they're loading up and as they're doing their thing, you can sort of see everything directly on the screen. So this is what that looks like. It's a nice screen. This is actually a dial. You can turn it. And now our system says ready for setup. So ready for setup, and then it gives us a MAC address. Oh, this is interesting. It just started blinking on me, and now it says updating. So we're going to let that update for a hot minute and see how things go. We'll come back to it when it's done with its updates.
A few moments later.
So the updating is done. It now has a QR code to download something called Unifi Play, which I believe goes onto my cell phone. The main interface for the Ubiquiti Dream Machine has apps in it, and I don't see a Unifi Play app there. So I'm going to assume that this is controlled 100% through my phone. I can actually switch over here to show you what those apps look like. You can see them here, these apps across the middle. are the apps that are on my system. You can see that I have this UDM Pro Max, which has a shadow gateway on it, and that I have all the apps installed and updated. And so, because the Unifi Play app isn't there, I assume that this is completely set up using my phone. So that's what I'm going to try to do next. We're going to get the app downloaded and we're going to see how that goes. The Sonos also had an app that I had to download and use in order to get the different streaming services installed on the Sonos and get all of that set up. Once all that was set up, I could simply go into Spotify and select this as my source and it would just work. So we're going to see how that works with the Unifi PowerAmp. Okay, we are back. So I had to, best way to explain this. I was having trouble connecting to the PowerAmp, and what I had to do was set it up on the network to where it was on the same network as my phone, which has the app on it. You can see here, we got the app up, and you can see the PowerAmp is ready for setup. And the trick here is they had to be on the same network. I run an IT shop here, and in my office, I don't really use a lot of Wi-Fi. You'll see this vertical antenna on top of my rack here. That's just so I can connect to the cell phone network in case my internet goes down. It'll back up to that. Outside of that, I don't really use Wi-Fi. So I have one access point in my office that I use for Internet of Things, and that's what this is connected to. And then I went ahead and put this device on that network. You may not have this issue. That's just how I had to do it. And this video isn't going to really go into how to do that, other than the fact that they have to be on the same network for this to work. So I just also want to point out while it's updating, one of the problems with getting new devices like this oftentimes is when they get manufactured at the facility, they get flashed with a certain version of the software at the facility where they're manufactured. When they get shipped out, by the time they make it to you, you probably have 2 or 3 updates of the software by that point. And so generally speaking, even though it's a new out of the box device, you're going to have to sit there and update it quite often. I've already gone through one update cycle and it seems to be going through a second update cycle at the moment. So we'll get back to it when that's complete. Wi-Fi, IoT. Okay. And then if I come here, I turn my Wi-Fi back on. So we got it reconnected and it's currently on Wi-Fi because the hardwire here was giving me a weird IP address. And I'm not sure why. It wasn't like a local IP address. That felt weird to me, so I just unplugged that. This guy is now on a Wi-Fi network. This is on the same Wi-Fi network. Now you have your app where you can actually see the volume. You can see the different sources you can pick. You can actually pick from streaming to HDMI to line in. And then you have an equalizer where you can see the everything from bass to treble, and you can you can equalize the different frequencies as needed. If I click music, there's also an equalizer for music, movies, night, or just turning the equalizer off. So you can have an equalizer for different things essentially, and quickly set them to be like, oh, we're going to watch a movie. Click, hit the movie equalizer. It auto adjusts your speakers for your movie experience. Sound, you can push it from the left to the right speaker. I went ahead and brought in some speakers while I was waiting for the update. So we'll get to that in a minute. Loudness, if I click the info for loudness, it says boost the low and high frequencies to meet the ear's sensitivity changes during low volume listening. So that's currently turned on. I'm not sure what that does exactly, but we'll get to that soon. Screen brightness, that's the brightness of this screen here. LED ring brightness, you can see that's the actual brightness of the LED ring. You turn all the way down, turn all the way up. Kind of neat. We'll keep it in the middle. You can also change the color of it. So my business is a pelican with a blue and orange. You can sort of see it here. It's the aquamarine blue color. So I'm going to stick it at the aquamarine blue color. Manage, you can locate it, restart it, or remove it. So that's that. Now, for the different sources, we are going to look at different things. I have a vinyl player at my office. This will be hooked up to the vinyl player. So a line in option is great. I don't see anywhere here where I can actually auto switch to the line in when it detects audio on the line in. So that's unfortunate. But you can definitely switch from source to source, which is great. The streaming source, I'm not sure. Plug your passive speakers into the Unifi PowerAmp ports, of course. And so that's what these banana clips are. So let's look at this real quick. So it came with banana clips, and banana clips are great. I use them on my Sonos amp as well. And the way banana clips work is you untwist the connector here until it opens up the hole that's in. If I hold it over the black area, you should be able to see there's a hole. So it opens up the hole, and then you tighten it down onto the hole to crimp the wire. And then what happens is these two banana plugs, that's what these are called, plug into the outlets on the back here, right? So you'll see there's a red and black dot. So this was the red dot and that's the black dot. And the red dot and black dot on here, this is the red dot and that's the black dot. Those line up. So it goes in like this, where the dots line up. You push it in, and now your banana clip is in. So the great part about this is they make for a great connector. But my favorite part about this is when I have a left and right speaker here, this is for one of those speakers, right? So let's say the left. It's a red and black dot. My speaker wire is copper and silver, right? So I put the copper on the red and the silver on the black. So an example, we know that when this goes in, it's going to go in with these facing up. So I want to come in from the outside of the plug. I want the wires to come in from this direction so that I can still plug it into the amp without the wire getting in the way. So we're going to put the red in the red like so, and then tighten it down. We'll put the silver into the black like so. Tighten that down. And then we just simply plug it into the amp. So that we can get a better view, I'm going to turn this whole guy around here. We'll aim it this direction a bit. You can see here, I've already connected up the banana plug, and we simply match up the red on this side and the black on this side with the red on this side and the black on this side. And we'll make this the left speaker. So there you go. Just slides right in. Banana clip is in. And now we have a speaker wire connected. Now this speaker, I'm just going to quickly plug into my speaker here. The speakers you're using may be different. These are just for testing purposes. I just grabbed some random speakers from the other room, and we can just take the copper cable, which I've deemed sort of the red cable, plug that into the red. The silver cable plugs into the black. There we go. That is the left speaker, so we'll put that on the left side of the desk here. Next, we're going to just do the same thing. Push this banana clip in. There we go. Now, we can still put the audio in left, right for our vinyl player. That's going to be awesome. But for now, we will stick with this and see what we can do with streaming services. Now that I have that set up, I do want to point out the front of the device, right? You have streaming, HDMI, and line in, right? So this is your volume. And then this is how you switch between the different inputs. And then once you have your input, then you can just click the button here for play. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to figure out how to get my Spotify account hooked up to this system. Okay, so to connect your Spotify account to this amplifier, you go into the app, you click on the settings menu in the top right, you click on connect to Spotify, you click open the Spotify app. Once you have the Spotify app open, you can click on the where the current playing item is. There's a little device that looks like a speaker. Click on that. It'll say select your current device. So I'm going to click AirPlay or Bluetooth, and I'm going to choose PowerAmp. So this video was filmed over several days, obviously, but what did we really learn here? I was able to go into Spotify on my computer and was able to select the amp as an output source from Spotify. So now I can open up Spotify on my computer and play it over to the amp. I'm able to do that on my phone as well. So it's a great little amp. It's almost a complete parody of the Sonos amp with a few minor exceptions that I've noticed. One of those exceptions is auto switching when it detects a line in. So when I drop the needle on my vinyl, it does not auto switch. That's fine because I've just gone ahead and relocated the amp back where the Sonos was, which was right underneath my vinyl player. And so now when I go over there and I drop the needle, I can just click on the touch screen, just click the input and it just auto swaps it, which is great because the Sonos amp cannot do that, right? There's no interface on this thing on the front of it that allows me to select an input, right? So that's a really great feature. So I feel like generally speaking, there's a parity between the Sonos amp and the Ubiquiti amp, but each one has its pluses and minuses, right? There's little caveats with each of them that say like, okay, with the Sonos amp, here's how you manage that problem, which is going to be different with the Ubiquiti amp. Another thing that we learned was that the Ubiquiti amp can actually be set up on any network. It doesn't need a Ubiquiti network. Here at my office, I have this light up cabinet here full of Ubiquiti gear. My entire network here is mostly Ubiquiti. I also am currently working on this little demo rack down here at the bottom that I'm going to use for demonstration purposes when I go to conferences and things like that. So lots of Ubiquiti in this office. I'm also working on some TP-Link stuff to have TP-Link solutions for my clients, but generally speaking, it's Ubiquiti shop. And so I mostly deal with Ubiquiti products, and this amp does not need any of it. In fact, I have found that I was expecting to be able to control this amp through the same interface that I control everything else in my Ubiquiti system. My cameras, my servers, my network, my door access controls, all of that is all managed inside of the same interface. And the Ubiquiti amp is not, right? And so if I want to manage that, I go through I go through the Play app, the Unifi Play app, in order to manage it, right? And so that's unfortunate. I really wish that they would include that Play app into the single interface that all the other apps are included in, the Protect app and the Access app and the Connect app and stuff like that. But it is what it is. I think that there's a benefit to this in that users won't need any Ubiquiti stuff to get this amp up and running, which is great. I think that's amazing. So again, there's pluses and minuses to it. This was just me exploring how this amp works, how to get it set up, how to get it connected to my vinyl player. And now I'm off and going. I'm playing some Pink Floyd this morning, some AC/DC, and you know, we're good to go. So hopefully this was helpful. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, give it a subscription. I'm going to be making some more videos on different Ubiquiti tech, as well as general home labbing stuff as we go forward. So have an amazing day.